anytime I hear about, the FBI is going to interview somebody or otherwise, I see people on Twitter saying, "Don't forget General Flynn."
Yeah.
Well, you should probably start with when they first came after you, when they got rid of you as the director of Defense
Yeah,
Intelligence
yeah. I
Agency,
mean,
right?
I think that's part of it. It goes back to there's a lot of things, and I did also. We produced a movie called Flynn. People can go see it. They can go to flynnmovie.com. But it really goes back to when I was in the military state. I was in Afghanistan. I was a senior intelligence officer in Afghanistan, and I wrote a report called Fixing Intel, where I basically told the entirety of the United States intelligence community that they weren't doing their job, and that was after 10 years of war. And at that point in time, I mean, the intel community leaders wanted my head. Secretary of Defense Bob Gates told everybody to shut up. It was a brilliant report. This guy's on the battlefield. We got a war to fight. And so that was sort of an early, mark for Mike Flynn to say, I'm not going to go with the grain. I'm going to go against the grain, especially when we're talking about putting lives on the line. Fast forward, I was the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, which Barack Obama actually appointed me into. So he put me into the job. And during a public testimony to Congress, when a group of us, and it's a very famous shot, it's Comey, Brennan, Jim Clapper, and myself, very famous shot, and we were all asked, about ISIS and what was the status of ISIS, because the Obama administration had said that these guys are defeated, they're on the run, and so when all of us were asked the exact same question, the other three had the pat talking point answers, and I said just the opposite, and I said no, they're not. They're not on the run. They're growing. They're emerging. ISIS is growing in about 24 or 25 countries. And immediately after that testimony that I gave, I was brought into an office in the Pentagon and asked to step down from that job. And that job that's a commander essentially of one of the largest intel agencies in the world. Where you not only command the Defense Intelligence Agency itself, but you oversee all of the Department of Defense intelligence activities. So, and you're the senior most military intelligence officer in the Pentagon. So it's a big deal, big job. And I was dismissed from that at that time. And then all of a sudden I get involved with Trump, and I'm helping him out win the 2016 election. He wins. He asks me to be his national security advisor, and all hell broke loose. I mean, all hell broke loose. In fact, there's even evidence that came out about a week ago, additional evidence from these FOIAs, Tim, that people are continuing to dig. As Sean just highlighted, there's so much more information that's still, the depth of stuff that is still held inside of the intelligence community would blow away the JFK assassination, okay? Because it's not just killing a president, it's an attempt to take over the United States of America. And they did it sitting in the White House, sitting behind the Oval Office on the 5th of January of 2017, and we know this. In fact, on Newsmax the other night, it might have been last night, Greg Kelly, Biden comes out and says how we're going to have this peaceful transfer of power, to Trump now, right? And that was the last thing that they were talking about. In fact, we have the receipts. Basically, in my case, we brought it forward. We fought to get the evidence because most people think I was convicted and went to prison, right? I should have asked you guys if you thought I did. And I was never convicted, never went to prison. My case was dismissed. But I had to get a pardon because a federal judge, wouldn't let me go because he got the bird whistle from Obama. So, and that's I don't know how much detail you want to get into.
Well, yeah. But this is it's been a while since we've covered the story, but they accused you of lying.
But it began. So Tim, this story that we are facing right now, what Trump is going through, what we all experienced going up to this election, and these people are not done. So these people are not finished trying to screw Trump and screw this country and basically take it over. I mean, this is a long time in coming. I mean, this is how they operate. And so those early days, and we know it began in 2015 when Trump decided they weren't exactly sure how Trump was going to play out in the primaries during that period of time. But when he did, and then he wins, that now all of a sudden it's like, okay, we can't allow this to happen, because the bigger plan, and most people don't know, but this is for real, and they won't argue this. The bigger plan was 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Hillary, and the Timcast live from the Daily Wire headquarters wouldn't exist.
Nope.
Okay? So we are still in the throes of this fight. And the way that I describe this, and I described this the other day talking to some folks after the victory, because it's like, and I use the metaphor because I'm a military guy, I use the metaphor of the Normandy invasion, that we are at about like D-Day +1 right now. Right? That we cannot say, it's victory over Europe already. I want everybody to feel good. We fought really hard. We won a massive, a monumental, historic battle. But that's just one battle in the war to continue to keep this thing moving and do the things that are necessary to do.
So what happens from now until the 20th? I imagine the moment Trump walks in that door, that's a big problem for these people.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, Trump knows what he wants to do. He's got, he'll pick great people, and there's going to be an establishment, sort of the rhino establishment, whatever you want to call him. There's going to be a political establishment elite that will try to pressure him to take certain types of people, right? That's a different issue. My thing right now is to message as much as I can, and I do this every time, and I've done this since really even before the election, is to message that these people are not done trying to kill him. So, and I don't say that lightly. So I'm not saying it because I'm just, reading it on the internet. I mean, so they're not done trying to get this man out of the way. So, on one side, out of one side of my mouth, I want to tell Trump, just hang out at Mar-a-Lago, run an operations center down there, have everybody come down to you to be interviewed, whatever, Do those kinds of things, because they're going to say, well, here's your transition headquarters. Everything has to be different. The way he is taking back over the country must be done differently. He'll decide whether or not, he listens to what I'm telling him. But my thing is he's got to stay alive, because they're not going to give him the resources, Tim, to be able to stay alive, okay, that he should have. So they're like, he gets in an airplane, he ought to have fighter escort. He gets on that airplane parks on the ground. There ought to be air defense systems around it. He ought to have, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Well, I think Trump should be, for the next couple of months, in a secure location surrounded by the most trusted people imaginable. And he should not be traveling, because there were two attempts.
Yeah.
He dodged a bullet, and then we had a plot. And we also heard from Matt Gaetz that there are 5 Iranian assassination teams.
Yep.
Donald Trump right now needs to get into office. And there are a lot of podcasts popping up where I'm seeing people saying, doesn't it feel a little strange how calm all of these elites and wealthy individuals, some who may be on the Epstein list, are? Yeah. They're certainly calm. When Elon Musk gave an interview and he said that list is going to come out if Trump wins. Yeah. And now a lot of these people are like, oh, it's totally fine that Trump won.
Yeah, I think it was the CEO of the Clinton Foundation stepped down on Wednesday. So, I mean, it's like not a lot of people know that, because it just comes up as a little blip. And you kind of go, some friends of mine that have fought that organization legally in the courts and have beat them, Clinton Foundation, they pay attention to these things. And you kind of, these are signals, okay? These are signals. What I look for is what we call indicators. And the indicators are part of what you're talking about, but it's also messaging. So messaging like Karl Marx or Joseph Stalin would have been proud of the concession speech that Kamala Harris gave, okay? And then people can go back and they need to examine it. And what Biden just said, I think it was yesterday, people need to look at that, and that's being ripped apart. But go back and listen to Kamala and listen to her concession speech.
What's the historical precedent if I want to be very light with this, because but if for some reason Trump does not make it to Inauguration Day, who becomes president? Is it J.D. Vance?
Well, there's no precedent. So there's no precedent, and so I don't know. I mean,
I fear they may say something like, no, the person who got the next highest amount of votes would become president.
Yeah, I mean, right. There are 43 on the books signed by different presidents going back to at least I would say Johnson, but there's 43 national security emergency orders on the books, signed, okay, ready to be executed. And if one of them is executed, it automatically kicks in about 150 different laws in the country. Okay, so, and I've written about this, and people can go see what I've written about it. And these things matter because if there is a national emergency, right? So maybe if something like this happens, and I don't want to, I hate going down this path because I want to be positive, I want to be optimistic. We just fought a major war or major battle here. We won, and we're moving forward, and everybody's, it's nirvana, because believe me, that when they start to talk about, a smooth transition of power, right? If Trump had lost the 26th of November, he'd be in prison for the rest of his life, and they would destroy his entire family. And guys like me, okay, who I know I'm on a target list, and many others who I know that are high-profile people, they would come after us.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War Podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.